Wars. Wars have been traditionally fought on land, in sea, and on air. However, technology has completely transformed this by adding two brand new dimensions. One is space, and the other is cyberspace. Now, very recently in India with Operation Sindoor, we saw a glimpse of how technology can dramatically change the landscape when it comes to wars and conflicts. Now, if you want me to summarize, just top 2 points that would be takeaways from this. Number one is with this level of technology, the first thing that you would observe is that the actual physical human to human conflict and actual physical engagement in war, that phase may have been significantly delayed thanks to technology and in many cases may be entirely eliminated. And number two is the precision, the AI assisted software and advanced sensors are creating a dramatic impact on enemy economy to the point that from a distance of 2,500 kilometers, it is now possible to target to the resolution of about 1 meter, plus or minus a few sub-meters, to devastatingly impact the enemy economy and cripple it. Now, these are the two big takeaways that we saw. Now, one of the biggest silent technology enablers of this entire spectrum is what we call satellites. And again, satellites are not new at all. Satellites have been in practice and in deployment for decades now. We've had weather monitoring satellites, we have Earth observation satellites, we have meteorological satellites, we have maritime satellites, we've had communication satellites and plenty. However, what makes this era of satellite-assisted warfare a dramatically new thing is that the extent of damage it can deploy on the enemy territory and the remarkable speed and shock that can be provided to the other side is unprecedented. For example, the kind of SAR technology which is now available on some of our Indian satellites is that irrespective of the terrain, irrespective of the weather pattern, irrespective of the cloud coverage, fog, and so on, it is still possible to get very high accuracy and very high resolution imagery of what is happening outside. Now, if you look at it, for a country of the size of India with 3.25 million square kilometers of land space and 7,500 kilometers of coastal line, it is extremely important now in the current context of dangers and conflicts that is surrounding us to be able to deploy everything modern, contemporary, and progressive to be sure that every square inch of land can be protected and guarded. So, what do we do and where are we today? Quick look at where we are today. In terms of the current setup of our surveillance over the air, what we call birds in the sky or eye in the sky strategy is to make sure that we have adequate coverage for surveillance. Now, surveillance satellites are deployed in different orbits depending on their capability, purpose, and payload. Now, you may have something called the sun synchronous orbit, and we have an overlapping band through which we move into the what we call LEO or low Earth orbit satellites. And then we have the geostationary satellite. The geostationary satellite is the outermost from a distance of about 36,000 kilometers away from the Earth's surface. And the LEOs are up to about 2,000 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and the SSO is even lower. Now, what we know from public information is that ISRO, which is our space guard and space technology giant, has already got a suite of about 110 odd satellites that have already been launched, and about 55 of them are currently distributed between the GEO and the LEO and are currently providing surveillance. However, there is an immediate plan to enhance this by adding another 55 satellites, about 29 or so that will come in the LEO, and the rest of them which will come between these bands and will be provided by the private sector. Now, if you look at it from some of the experts, what some of the war strategy experts, military experts, and others are saying is that from the context of the situational awareness that we need to have from a defense strategy perspective. It is extremely important for us now to scale from wherever we are to about 10,000 satellites. Again, I repeat that. Some estimates say that we need about 10,000 satellites to literally create an umbrella of surveillance over the country so that we have excellent situational awareness of what is going on around us 24 by 7 by 365. Now, this is since a national homeland security issue, it is not a matter to compromise, and therefore we'll probably go for it. Now, the what is expected from a provisioning perspective is that some experts say that we want to be so alert that at the start of the launch of a potential ballistic missile or a rocket in the neighborhood, at the first plume of smoke itself, our satellite umbrella should be able to detect and provide information, sense and detect, and the entire downstream activity. How do we respond to this? And the entire compute, the nanosecond turnaround, the round trip delay being minimized, and the necessary integrated response mechanism should be already ready in place. Now, that is the level of situational readiness that we want to have. Now, question is, how do we do this? The government of India has rightfully so gone ahead and created an umbrella of organization that will bring in the necessary talent from private sector to contribute and cooperate with the public sector of the government to make sure that this incredibly large project can actually be done. Now, the beginning is already made, thankfully, and with a large army of startups from young engineers and others, this effort has already taken off. We have about 189 Spacetech startups already registered under the umbrella, and we also have announced a venture capital fund of about $125 million to be made currently available to all these tech enthusiasts who will go out there and build whatever is necessary by discussing with ISRO and the overall military strategy team that will come up with specific requirements. The satellite, of course, is one of them. There's several other things, including sensors, algorithms, software, fast response, several other things that need to be built. All of that is already working progress. Now, it is heartening to know that we have Bangalore and Hyderabad currently the hubs for developing these kind of technologies, and many startups in Bangalore. Some of them that come to mind is Ananth Technologies, Digantara Technologies, and some others in Hyderabad like Skyroot and a few others have already started creating patent pending technologies to create the kind of response and integrated control of end-to-end solutions that we need to be able to make to manage this. Now, the other thing that I wanted to just bring up here is that from a deep space, deep tech perspective, the typical project gestation times for these kinds of projects is not what you normally see in commercial projects, which are, like you're talking about 10-minute delivery and those kinds of. This is an entirely different ballgame with extended incubation, extended gestation, and extended support required to take these technologies to commercial viability. One of the things that traditionally used to happen is that this space, the space tech and defense tech, was typically limited in terms of the buyer signals because the buying community was normally, so far at least, the government of India alone. However, thanks to Operation Sindoor and the Indian capability to demonstrate to the world how much of integrated domestic indigenized solutions we can actually take to market and create an incredible shock and awe situation for the enemy countries, has now created a wake-up call for the rest of the world. And no surprise at all that several new requirements are beginning to come in from other countries that they want to import or buy these technologies and consider implementing them in their own homelands. Now, this is very much in line with the government of India's plan to create a domestic defense export industry of about 50,000 crores in the next few years. And I believe we are already at halfway the mark at about 25,000 crores or so today. Now, I want to end by bringing up this very interesting piece I saw yesterday, thanks to someone who forwarded it to me. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware, but there is a Small Wars journal. You can go check it out. And all these links are provided in the description below for those that want to check it out. Smallwarsjournal.com. If you go back and look at that, the May 22nd piece actually is talking at length about Operation Sindoor and the astounding success an emerging economy has had in creating a mix of indigenized technology together with contemporary imported technology. Being able to deploy top of the world system integration skills in terms of bringing together legacy technology that already has been invested in and new technology and bring them together under a single integrated command control scheme, so that no matter what's happening on the other side, a combination of air, water, defense, as well as space the factors can come in together and provide the necessary defense for motherland, for homeland.